We make about 45 million pounds of chips in a quarter. That equates to about 200 million pounds of potatoes, which is quite a few. What's interesting with M&T is they're a small town bank, and as we've grown, they've also grown with us. They've got the resources that you would need in order to go big, but they also have that friendly local community feel so that it makes it seem easier than it probably is.
Hello, welcome to Candidates Up Front. This series of interviews with candidates on the November 3rd general election ballot is brought to you by Berks Community Television and the League of Women Voters of Berks County. Both organizations are nonpartisan. That means we never support candidates nor political parties. Both organizations consider it their mission to provide voters with information about each election. I'm Judith Cranus, a member of the League. First, if you are not yet registered to vote, go to votespa.com to register. Votespa.com is in English and Spanish. You have until October 29th to register, but the smart thing is, do it now. If you do not want to stand in line on Election Day, apply for a mail-in ballot. Again, go to votespa.com. Do it now. When your ballot arrives, mail it in right away. We help our Berks County Elections Office handle this election smoothly if we are timely. And if you choose to go to your polling place on Election Day, polls are open from 7 in the morning till 8 at night. This year, we will be voting for Pennsylvania Attorney General, Auditor General, and Treasurer. We will also elect representatives to the U.S. Congress, to the Pennsylvania Senate, and to the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. The League and BCTV invited all but the statewide candidates to be interviewed. Some did not reply, some declined. Those who agreed will be asked the same questions in the same order with the same time limits as others running for the same office. These interviews will be available on BCTV's webpage and YouTube channel. If you watch the interviews of two competing candidates, you can compare their answers to make your decision on how you will vote. This interview is for the Pennsylvania House of Representatives in the 127th District. State representatives serve a 2-year term in the Senate. Did I say 127? I meant 126th. Good thing I caught that one. Yes. The 126th, and we have the map up there for you. It's most of Reading, and it's northern, eastern, and one western suburb. State representatives serve a 2-year term in the state legislature in Harrisburg. They initiate legislation and vote to create laws. They pass the budget, including taxes and expenditures of the state. They offer help about state government to constituents of their districts. The salary for a state representative is $88,610 per year, plus benefits and expenses. The two candidates are Mike Rossi, the Democrat, and James Oswald, the Republican. This interview is with Mark Rossi. He is the incumbent. Welcome, Mr. Rossi.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Judith.
Now tell us why you want to be a state representative and what are your qualifications for this position?
Well, my journey started 8 years ago, wanting to be a state representative, and my fight continues today for a couple reasons. One, I'm a small business owner. I understand every facet of business and what businesses have to do to survive, employ workers, meet payroll, continue the supply chain coming in and out of the business. So I have a good footing for understanding what happens in business, but also as a victim of sexual abuse, my passion from the first day I was elected was to protect the children of Pennsylvania. And that's my main goal from day one. Was we always talk about educating our children, But in the same breath, I want to make sure that we are protecting our children.
Thank you. What are the 3 most important things you want to accomplish if elected?
The key word for me moving forward is reform. We need tax reform, we need Harrisburg reform, and we also need campaign finance reform. And we need to protect our most vulnerable citizens out there, our seniors, our children, our people with disabilities, and we need to invest and improve our infrastructure. But going to reform, tax reform, we need to move the bill to eliminate school property taxes forward. We need to lower the corporate net income tax from 9.99 to 4.99 to make Pennsylvania competitive with the world, to bring businesses into our major cities. And I think most importantly, we need campaign finance reform. We need to get rid of dark money in Pennsylvania. We don't know who these people are that are donating to these nonprofits. So, and we need pension reform in Harrisburg. There's too many legislators in Harrisburg that have so many pensions already. It's got to stop.
Thank you. What do you think about the state management of COVID-19? And are you seeing a greater impact on minorities and women?
I think this crisis has been unprecedented. And I've heard a lot of people support Governor Wolf, and I heard a lot of people go after Governor Wolf. And he had to make tough decisions in this pandemic, but he made them to protect Pennsylvanians. And that's the key here, that we can replace jobs and we can create grants to help businesses recover, but we can never replace lives. So for me, Governor Wolf taking the steps that he has, and you compare it to the United States, Pennsylvania overwhelmingly is doing great. I mean, the numbers, when you look at what Governor Wolf did in Pennsylvania compared to what probably Governor DeSantis did down in Florida, Florida is blowing up. So Governor Wolf had to take tough measures to protect our people.
There is currently no health department in Berks County. Do we need one? And should this be paid for by state government?
I would love to have a health department in Berks County. But right now I can tell you we don't have the financial funds in Harrisburg to fund one. Going into this state budget, we're already $5.5 billion in the hole. And when we can take Federal Care Act and move money around, we can maybe get that down to $3 billion. Now, would it be helpful to Berks County to have one? Absolutely. And I would support that. But we have to have the funds to be able to pay for it.
What do you think are common sense gun violence controls the state should have in place?
Well, we need to have these background checks in place, but we also need to enforce the laws that are on the books right now. And I think that's a difference where, we can keep passing policies to create more gun control, but if we don't enforce the laws that are on the books right now, then we're still going to run amok. And there's things that we could definitely do to save money in this whole system. Like we have a state background check and we also have a federal background check. We could probably eliminate the state background check and just use the federal background check and take some of those monies and inform the public and push ideas to them that, violence isn't solved by using guns.
As a legislator, what will your role be to reduce violence in our communities?
I think we have to educate our people better, and it starts at a very early age. And we see that gun violence, especially in urban cities, the numbers are just astounding. And we have to give those children hope for the future, that the poverty that they're living in isn't a means to their end, that they can be successful. But again, we need to be able to invest in education and teach our children that guns are not the answer.
Following the census, our state legislators will be redrawing our district lines for federal and state offices. This has in the past led to gerrymandering, districts that favor one party over others. Do you think this is fair to voters? And if not, what will you do to give voters fair districts?
Well, I absolutely support fair districts, and I support fair elections where legislators have to have competition. That the districts should be very close, almost 50 to 50% Democrat, 50% Republican. And I know that we can't do that all over Pennsylvania. But the way our districts are gerrymandered right now, what happens is legislators go to Harrisburg knowing that they can't lose their election, that they will continue to vote by the party line. And it seems like our parties right now, because everything is so gerrymandered, is just so divisive, where you're either a far hard right conservative ultra Republican or you're a very liberal progressive. And people like myself, moderates, don't exist anymore in Harrisburg. And it's sad because I believe that every district should be represented fairly.
Small business is important to Berks County's economy. Will you favor additional state funds to help them survive the pandemic?
As a business owner, I get this probably more than most candidates out there, because the one thing I know is small business owners do not need more loans. They have so many loans as it is right now. It's out of control. What small businesses need are grants that can help them get out of this hole, or loan forgiveness to be able to move forward. So we need to do everything in our power to make businesses successful. And this has been a difficult time for not only small businesses, but all businesses across this line through this pandemic. And being able to get them grant money to be able to stay open and employ people and meet payroll is critical moving forward.
What is your plan to address the crumbling infrastructure in the state?
Well, everybody knows that our roads and bridges have been going down a path of destruction for many years, and they have just not been repaired. So we absolutely need to invest in infrastructure. But the thing I want to focus on right now, because I think that could be critical for people moving forward, is I believe and I support that we do need a rail system between Philadelphia and Reading. That is absolutely critical. It will probably put in about $1 billion into the economy here. It will get people traveling back and forth from Philly to Reading. And we believe that tickets may cost maybe between $10 and $16. But the injection into the economy will be so substantial that for us not doing this would be a total loss for our Commonwealth. And not just Philly to Pittsburgh or Philly to Reading, but all metropolitan areas. You go to Europe, they have these high-speed trains all over the place, and you can get very far very quick.
Thank you. Will you support raising the minimum wage, and what should the wage be?
I do support raising the minimum wage, and there has been a lot of discussion in Harrisburg, and I actually thought this session that we could get something done. Now, I know that a lot of Democrats out there have been pushing for the $15 an hour minimum wage, and the way I look at it is that is partly unrealistic. I want to be able to do something now to be able to move this forward, because we could talk about $15 an hour, and because Republicans are in control of the House and Senate, of course, they don't believe that, but we can come to a compromise. And I believe that we can get to at least $10 an hour right now. But we have to bring our sides together on this, work through the differences. But again, at the end of the day, we have to know that this is going to benefit all Pennsylvanians. And by doing that, we'll probably get some of these Pennsylvanians off some of the other assistance of welfare and other money out there. So this would be a great move for Pennsylvania, and it would also inject some money into the economy.
Agriculture counts for about half of Berks County's economy, and our local farmers are adapting as much as possible to changes in the climate. Do you think the state should do more to address climate change to protect local agriculture? And if so, what would you have it do?
Climate change, first, is real. We know that. And unfortunately, there are some Republicans in the House and Senate that don't believe that, just like they believe this virus is fake. But if we don't pass policies to go to greener energy, instead of always seem like we do in Harrisburg are passing tax rebates for these big corporations to continue fracking, to continue putting up all these cracker shell plants all over Pennsylvania. That's not the answer. Yes, do they create jobs? Yes, but we need a wide variety of our energy portfolio across Pennsylvania. And I believe in clean energy, and I know it works, but there has to be an investment, and that has to come from the state, and that can happen through many different types of grant programs.
Pennsylvania has passed bills to help root out rogue police. Would we be better off if we separated the crime-fighting functions of police from our social service functions?
Absolutely, and this has been a hot topic right now, not only in Pennsylvania, but across the United States. And I think the critical thing that we need right now is police training. But to have police training, we need to be able to fund that. And that's where the problem lies here, is that we're not getting enough funding to be able to send to the police departments to be able to train their police properly. Now, I believe in what's happening out there with the movement for the minority community and seeing what happened with Black Lives Matter. I can tell you this, I don't believe in the rioting. That's not the answer. There are peaceful solutions to this, but it has to start with training to our police officers.
Do you believe there is systemic racism in Pennsylvania? And if so, how will you help change it?
I do believe that, and we know that there are nationalist groups here in Pennsylvania, militia groups in Pennsylvania, and they are very racist. And to me, I said this from day one, and I probably said it in this studio when I first ran, that I don't care if you're black, you're white, you're gay, you're straight, you're Chinese, Latino, that everybody is welcome in my group, and that I will fight for all people of Pennsylvania. And there are legislators in Harrisburg that I even question their backgrounds and what their motivations are in the House or in the Senate. So racism exists, it's real, and we need to root it out to move our people forward. Everybody deserves an equal chance to succeed here in this Commonwealth.
Discrimination in housing against LGBTQ people is still legal in Pennsylvania. Should we have laws to stop this discrimination?
I honestly can't even believe that we don't have anti-discrimination laws against the LGBT here in our Commonwealth, and it's quite disgusting. A good friend and a great colleague of mine, Brian Sims, who was the first openly gay elected man in Pennsylvania, has been fighting so hard for these policies to move out of the House and Senate. And every time he does, he is stonewalled. And I just want the LGBT community to know is that I stand behind you. And I will support you, and I will fight with you, and I will do everything in my power to support my colleague to move his legislation forward to end these discrimination and this bias that is destroying our Commonwealth.
Thank you. There are inequities in the funding of our public schools. Schools in rich zip codes thrive, schools in poor zip codes struggle. What will you do to provide every child in Pennsylvania a quality education?
Well, I support public education, number one. And we have a new funding formula, but unfortunately it's only for new money coming into education. And we actually need to apply that funding formula to all the money that we use to pay for our public schools. And that would be a great start. If we did that right here, Reading High would probably get about $10 million extra dollars in their budget. And just think about what that can do to help educate our urban children and give them the tools and the opportunities that they need to succeed. But I also believe in it starts even before K through 12. It's pre-K. We need to do more investing in pre-K to give our children a head start, get more words to them, read more words to them. And again, I know investing in pre-K will will give us a return on investment that will be substantial and moving down the road. And higher education, we need to invest and fund that properly.
People never like taxes, yet they are necessary. In this time of increasing disparity between the income of the well-to-do and the income of the poor, is a flat income tax, as we have in Pennsylvania, still appropriate? And please tell us why.
That's a great question, Judith, because when you say the word tax in Harrisburg, you have legislators run in every direction because they're afraid that they're going to lose their seat. They rather not move Pennsylvania forward with changing the tax policies that we have in place. And especially in a crisis in the pandemic that we're in right now, it would be very difficult to change our flat tax that we have currently. And that's just the reality of how Harrisburg works. Now, if we could have more equal representation in Harrisburg, where we would have about the same amount of Democrats as Republicans, I think there could be some discussion. But because the Republicans control the House and Senate, there will never be a discussion to change the flat tax here in this Commonwealth.
The next budget will be very tight because of the impact of COVID-19. Where will you cut, and what services do you feel are essential?
I was just on a caucus call a couple days ago when we were discussing this. And right now, our deficit is about $5.5 billion. And if we take the Federal CARE Act money and we take our rainy day fund and we cut some programs, not our substantial programs like education, and just pull in some of those little money, we could probably get this down to $3 billion. But when you look at our critical funding like education and Department of Human Services, there's really nowhere where we can cut. So tough decisions will have to be made. But I tell you right now, I'm not going to stand or support any cut in our education or any cut that helps our most vulnerable citizens. We have so many people with disabilities out there that need waivers. And the last thing we could do is cut funding for them that will limit their opportunities to be successful here.
Okay. Do you believe the fracking industry has caused environmental damage? And if so, what kind of dollar amount in fees or fines should be charged, and how should the monies be dispersed?
Fracking has caused immeasurable damage in our Commonwealth. And I think what makes me sick about this is that the Republican majority in the House and Senate continue to pass bills that support these industries, reduce their taxes, give them $1 billion in tax incentives. And our environment continually pays for it. It's just those examples you see of people that hold up that glass of water and they put a match to it and it catches on fire. Everybody deserves clean water. And I'm actually been talking with Mark Ruffalo a little bit because he's been just an activist in this. And I'm proud of the work that he has done and him coming to Pennsylvania to try to stop these legislators. And I know my time's coming close, but what's horrible here is that these industries are giving campaign money in the thousands of dollars to these legislators, and it's allowing them this open run to pass bills because they know they're just gaining $25,000 check, and next you know, the next day they're running a bill to help that industry, and it's sick and it needs to stop.
Should Pennsylvania decrease the use of fossil fuels and carbon emissions? And if so, how? And what would be a reasonable time frame to do this?
We should have done it years ago. Unfortunately, that's not happening. But we need to be able to fund and create special grant programs for renewable energy. Solar and wind. These are viable sources that we have here in our Commonwealth that we can use. Again, when you look at that industry versus the fracking industry, it's the fracking industry, though, that is, again, donating millions of dollars to legislators every single year, and they're pushing their agenda forward. But we need people to stand up that are elected, that are willing to fight for the right thing for our Commonwealth. I don't want campaign donations from those people. I want to do what's right. And I know pushing renewable energy is important and it's safe, and our people of this Commonwealth deserve that.
Thank you. We do have a minute left. Mr. Rossi, would you like to make a closing statement?
Thank you. When I first ran for this seat, I had no idea what I was getting into. And as a small business owner and somebody who was sexually abused, I just wanted to come and fight for the people. And now being in Harrisburg for 8 years, I have seen what has gone on and how big money in politics is just destroying everything that we can do positive to help our people in this Commonwealth. And I want the people to know is that I represent you. I don't represent corporations or any lobbyist group. I represent you, and I am here to listen to what you need and your problems, and whatever they are, you can count on me knowing that I'm going to fight for the people of this Commonwealth. That's the bottom line.
Thank you, Mr. Rossi. And thank you for watching Candidates Up Front.
That
We make about 45 million pounds of chips in a quarter. That equates to about 200 million pounds of potatoes, which is quite a few. What's interesting with M&T is they're a small town bank, and as we've grown, they've also grown with us. They've got the resources that you would need in order to go big, but they also have that friendly local community feel so that it makes it seem easier than it probably is.